Yet again, one more time. We say one more time like it's going to be the last time, but you guys aren't getting rid of me that easily, so tough luck for you. All right, but today I bring on another org owner here for laying it down with Big D. Today, you may know this legend from being the owner of Wanted Goons. I believe he's had a heavy involvement with them since their inception. We're going to hear all about it. But today I've got McGallon with me today. How we doing, brother?
Good. How are you?
I'm living the dream, baby. I do interviews
Hey,
from my bed. What could get better? And we talk about Counter-Strike.
yeah, exactly. That sounds like a perfect little just thing to do.
Yeah, it really is. But you know what? We're not here to talk about me, and I could talk about me all day. We're here to talk about
Oh,
you.
absolutely.
Let's tell me what's the tell me the history of Wanted Goons. Let's start with the foundation when it started, when you came in. Did you start it? I know Take Flight. I thought Saban came up with the whole thing, and it turns out there's a whole bit of lore behind it that he was not the original founder of it and came into it, but it's an epic story nonetheless. I want to hear the McGallon Wanted Goon story. I know your wife back there is involved in the project as well.
She's big on it. Yeah. Let's see. I've been in esports myself since 2017, 2018. Ran a few small orgs, worked for a few smaller, medium-sized orgs, and fell in love with the industry. And God, probably about 2019, 2020, I took a little bit of a breather from esports, focused on, graduating high school, getting into college, that kind of thing. And then started competing back in CS probably early 2020, and just kind of caught the bug again and started playing with some buddies of mine that I knew, and one of them was a graphic designer, and he was just looking to build his portfolio for college. Just needed to, create a brand, name and logo, and kind of work with it for a project. And he came up with one of Goons, came up with an old logo, not the current one. If you can remember that one, it's very Hundred Thieves esque, and he came up with it. We started playing under the name for the open team, and I kind of fell in love with it. I said, let me do something with this real quick. Created the Twitter and everything like that. And I didn't think we were going to get much past, just kind of competing under, the name and that. And then I really caught the bug. Then I met her not too long after, and, it kind of turned into it. Like, I kind of want to do this again. And it started from there, probably about November, December 2020 was when we dove in kind of passively. And then 2021, about October, somewhere around October 2021 is when we really took the dive to get things to the capacity that we wanted to. And it's been an uphill battle ever since, but it's been a fun one.
Yes, I think stressing the importance of org ownership, especially in Counter Strike. I don't know how it is in other esports, but especially in Counter Strike, it's an uphill battle. Like it's got to be a passion project, right?
Yes, absolutely. That is the perfect way to put it. We're not in this. Talk to any org owner at any level in any scene. You're not in this for the money, obviously. It's a lot of hours, a lot of money, a lot of worries, but we do it for the love of the game.
Yeah, well, and we're that's why I'm doing this too. Is I get to like talk to people and get to know all like I could be probably pursuing a little bit more game on the like short form and social media like promotion for myself, but like I'm just trying to make these episodes for people in our scene so that everybody can kind of get to know each other, right? And like we're doing this and it's because we like doing this. That's why people are out here. So if you're getting into org ownership and Counter Strike, make sure you've got like a 10+ year plan in your head because it's not turning a profit for like 8 or 9 of them, if I had to guess.
Correct. Yeah. And even if you are turning a profit after that, you're
You're very
one
lucky.
of a
Yeah,
million.
you're very,
Yes.
very lucky. Well, let me ask you this. Talk to me about what are this is the question I like to always ask people. what's your earliest memory of like playing video games, and how did you start getting it? Like, how did that? What was your? Since you're an org owner, you have your hand in multiple esports, correct? So I assume as
Yes,
much as you
yeah.
probably love Counter Strike, it's not the only esport you've ever played or been involved in. What are
Yeah.
your earliest memories of gaming, and what eventually led you to Counter Strike, and were there other esports before that?
Yeah. Let's see. Earliest memory has got to be, I believe it was on the PlayStation 1, game called Thief. I believe
Mm.
is the first memory I have. Really good game, underrated. Went back and played it 5 years ago. Not what it used to be, but nostalgia wise, it
Right.
was pretty solid. And for a game released in 2006, can't complain. But I grew up Call of Duty. Call of Duty was my thing. I've played every single Call of Duty since its inception. Played the Big Red or the Big One or whatever it was called back then. Call of Duty 1, 2, 3, World at War, everything. That was my childhood. PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, just grinding Call of Duty. And then probably about, God, I was about 13 or 14, and I saw the Phase guys at the time, Phase Rain, Tico, all of them playing CS. And my brother was a massive PC gamer at the time, playing like EVE Online, League of Legends, that kind of thing. And I said, "Hey, like I know this is PC only. Let me get a taste of
Let
it."
me get a
And
taste of
he
it.
and he gave me his gaming laptop, and I grinded CS on this tiny little Alienware laptop for, gosh, 3 4 months, and saved up enough through birthdays and Christmas that I could buy my own PC. Super tiny little, not the greatest specs, but it was enough to get me above, playing at 30 FPS. I couldn't even play Nuke on that laptop at the time because I would run like maybe for 5 FPS. It was something else. But as soon as I got that gaming PC, it was game over. I mean, I was sinking thousands of hours into CS within a year or two, and grinding. Fell in love with it. Started competing in open. Just ran the gauntlet there for a little bit, and it was like maybe competing's not my thing, so I started bouncing. Ran my first org, Misty Esports, probably about 2017. Had CS teams, Call of Duty teams. Stayed with what I knew. Bounced to Hyper Esports after that. Brought them a CS division. And then that's when I started taking my break. And then I bounced around a little where else. Tried to compete in PUBG. I slept past my first qualifier, so that one didn't go too well. And then tried the little games like Lawbreakers, Iron Sight. Trying to break into like that little niche games, but never turned up anything. Then past that, that's probably right at the end, right before Wanted Goons started, and God, we've been in 6, 7 different titles now, so it's been got my hand in a little bit of everything.
That's really cool. That's funny you mentioned Lawbreakers. That was one my friend was like, "Oh, this is gonna blow all these games out of the water, and it's
Yep,
gonna be
that
so
was me.
much better." And then I think it came out, and like it was like within whatever, within a year, if not like a couple of months, it was like a dead game. And
Oh, it might have been 3 weeks max.
yeah, it
I
was
was a
short.
firm believer. Yeah, God, I miss it, but it was short lived.
Who made that? Was that an Epic Games?
I feel like it was a very early on Epic, if I remember correctly, like before they had a big hit with Fortnite.
Yeah, it was before. Like they were. I think they were developing Lawbreakers and Fortnite simultaneously.
Yeah,
And Fortnite was actually not even going to be a battle royale game. It was going to be this big survival
yeah.
crafting adventure game. And I mean, that still eventually came out as part of Fortnite, the like part you could buy, but they released that battle royale, I think, as a test essentially for Fortnite, and the thing fucking blew up like nobody's business.
Exactly.
Obviously, are you guys involved? What games are you guys involved in right now with Wanted Goons?
Let's see. Right now we have our three Counter-Strike rosters, one competing in Advanced, then we've got our Outlaws and Academy roster. competing in main and intermediate. Then we have our Rainbow Six roster, our Valorant roster. I'll go ahead and leak this. Upcoming is our Valorant Game Changers roster. A
Oh,
little inside information for you there. Let's see, our iRacing roster as well. And I feel like I'm missing something, and I don't want to be, destroyed on the timeline. But no, that is it. That's all we are in right now. So
you don't have a PUBG roster fighting game guy that you're forgetting right now?
no, not that I'm aware of, at least. But no, if it is, maybe they should hit me up a little
Yeah,
bit more often.
we'll learn. Davi, do you have
But
any
yeah,
interest in fighting games?
I dabbled with it a little bit in high school. I've always wanted to bring fighting game players into the organization, but it's tough to find a perfect fit without knowing much about the scene. And my extent is one of my good buddies in high school that I had one class with has like 6,000 career earnings in Smash, and I haven't talked to him in 7 years. So, that's all I really know about it. So tough to bring him in.
Hey, that's pretty good though. Smash is it's got its diehard fan base, but I don't think it's got like giant prize
Absolutely.
pools by any means. Um,
Yeah, that is true.
well, what are some of the challenges of being an org owner? I think that from like a player's perspective, there's this idea that org owners just are sitting on a stack of cash waiting to dole it out for the right people. But I don't think, as
Yeah.
I've been working in the industry for a few years now, think that that's even remotely true. And it turns out like
No.
these guys are just throwing in their own earnings to try to support the scene. What are like some of the like what is the like life of an org owner in well, mainly Counter Strike, but what's the life of an org owner like here in NA?
It's an adventure to say the least. It's I do it because I love watching our teams play, and so I don't mind, taking my hard-earned cash that I get from work and throwing it into rosters. But yeah, you're right. We are not sitting on bank loads of money. We're not sitting on all that. It's so a lot of the stress is, what can we afford? And you got to go out and find the teams that you can afford that are still going to give you that essentially your ROI on your investment. And 99% of the time that ROI is not cash back in your pocket. That's media engagements, just building your brand essentially. When you get up to your 100 thieves optic levels, like that's where you're starting to see your ROI be your actual cash and stuff like that. But yeah, a lot of it's how much can we afford this month? How many games can we get into before we're slamming our head against the desk, being like there's too many things going on, and just trying to find that perfect balance of money, time, effort, and delegating who needs to do what across the board. And it's an adventure, but it's a fun adventure.
What's the juiciest worst thing that you've ever had to deal with as an org owner that you're allowed to share publicly? And why do I
I'll do
feel
this one since it's
I was gonna say why do I
what,
feel
what,
like it has to do with little beer?
well, I've got a few little beer stories that I could indulge on, but probably our juiciest is out of the Rainbow Six side of things. Um, I'll talk about it because it was God only 2 months ago. We probably about 2 years ago we got into Rainbow Six, and then we left it, and I was dying for the last like 2 years to get back into it. Talked to several rosters throughout those years, and finally found one that had a few good vouches and everything. And I was like, cool. I vetted them for like the last year, ran through their socials, everything, saw everything like looked good. Talked to a few people in the industry that I knew that knew R6 pretty well, and they're like, yeah, these guys seem good, like nothing too crazy. Get all the graphics ready, talk to the guys on, get them all on board, get them all situated, and keep in mind, I'm getting married in like 5 days when this is happening, and so like my brain is elsewhere. Like I'm focused on wedding, all of that, and we put the tweet out, and it immediately bangs like you know 100 likes within an hour, which for an esports organization, and that's massive for
That's
us. And I'm
nice.
like, oh
Yeah.
great, yeah, this is incredible. And then I start reading the comments on it, and I'm like, oh shit, like what are, what did we get ourselves into? And apparently, my trusted sources weren't as trusted as I should have been. These guys had like just a terrible background on them. Several of them were like accused, DMA cheaters. And then, I started getting videos of them like 4 years ago just being massive racist and transphobic and, everything you just hate in a person. They had on them. So they were in the organization for probably less than 12 hours. It was, I dropped a tweet about 2 hours after the tweet. I called for a team meeting and I said, "Look, guys, I had plenty of conversations with you guys. I asked, is there anything we should be worried about? I asked trusted sources. Everyone said this was all good. What happened?" And they were like, "Oh, we thought people forgot about it." It's like people don't forget, especially things of that nature. And so that's probably my juiciest that I've got.
I vaguely remember this happening. I didn't. I saw it was Rainbow Six, so I was like, oh well, whatever. I don't care. But
Yeah,
like I remember seeing something like Wanted Goons hired known racist team or something along those lines. But like, yeah, that's got to be. How do you?
yeah.
I mean, you cut the team immediately. Did you put like? How do you deal with that as an org? Is that just time to put the beautiful message out over the nice background and say,
Exactly.
damn, we fucked up. We'll do better next time.
You hit the nail in the coffin right there. It's I called my entire staff into a meeting. I said, "Look, this is what's going on." I had the graphic designer get the template ready. I said, "Look, I'll type out the message, you throw it on the graphic, and I'll come out. I'll say what needs to be said." I owned up to my mistakes. I could have done a better job vetting. I'll accept my loss on this one. I understand I messed up, and like this is not what we stand for as an organization or as humans, and it's unacceptable to give these people a platform. And it was well received. I think people truly respected and understood our side of things, that it just like kind of slipped under the radar on our end, and they were understanding, especially with how quick the turnaround was on their release. It was a big headache and a big stress point for a good 3 days, and I lost a little bit of sleep over it, but we've we've learned and overcome the obstacle since. So it's you know the engagement numbers from it weren't terrible. So well, no such thing as bad publicity sometimes, but that one wasn't our greatest moment.
Well, and speaking of engagement numbers, you said you were getting married like 5 days later. Let me ask you this. Did your wedding proceed to go off without a hitch? Like, did your entire wedding go perfectly and amazingly?
It did,
Well,
truthfully.
listen, they say like a bad bit of luck, or like if when you putting on a show, like this was when went to school for like theater stuff and acting stuff. When you're putting on like a show in a theater and you're doing all this prep work weeks before it, right? The week before opening night is called Tech Week. If every single possible thing that could go wrong goes wrong during Tech Week, including just making everybody the worse that Tech Week is going, the better the show will be. So that was all just a part of
It was our
the
sacrifice.
the big plan to have the most flawless wedding ever. And in the end, like you said, all press is good press, it's engagements out there. I mean, there's a reason that I'm sure some of these people that seem like the most absolute vile humans online are probably not even half as bad as they project themselves to be, because they're just doing stuff for clicks out there, right? That doesn't mean there aren't nasty people out there right now. It's a wild time to be alive, but uh, you know, engagement is good. So congratulations on both the wedding and the big juicy story to get Wanted Goons on the map. So are you guys still gonna
Like,
are you still involved with Rainbow Six right now? Did you find another roster?
yeah, yeah. I found another roster. I waited a little bit till after the wedding and the honeymoon was over, and had I think 3 or 4 of our former players from our original roster that was our big like hitting point. Reach out and say, hey, look, we're competing in a high tier 2 event. We want to rep the brand. If not, why not? And I said, sure, let's do it. I know I've known you guys for 2 3 years, and there's nothing to worry about here. So we're back in it. They're in a little bit of an off season right now, but it's one of my favorite scenes to be in. I don't understand the game at all, but it's fun to watch. Fun to watch, and I just assume what's happening because I can't follow it for shit. So
I agree. Every time I've watched Rainbow Six, it's a very exciting spectator sport. But as a game,
yeah,
the amount of time of playing compared to like loading into things or picking things does not fly for me. And so that's why I stick with Counter Strike. Also, I play all video games, but as I've gotten older and I've gotten more into Counter Strike, I'm like, no, it's just Counter Strike. Like, it's Counter Strike that I like more than anything.
exactly.
What let's yap a little bit about some more Counter Strike stuff. Who's this current roster that you have right now?
Right now, we are rocking with the combination of Magic, Cute Dog, our newest acquisition, Killer Pandas, Johan, and who am I missing?
Is it
Fab.
and Fab?
Yeah.
But you're playing with Magic, like Magic from Chill Guys? Magic?
No, different Magic. Magic KS, I think, is his technical
Okay.
title.
It,
So they're
are
in 4 seasons with him now.
are we gonna see them at LAN?
We're talking about it. We wanted to see him at Knoxville, but they all had some plans kind of already on the books. So next frag is kind of what we're hoping for right after Knoxville. So hopefully we'll see them back out there. So they had a good run at the previous frag they went to. I think that was up in Chicago, if I remember correctly.
Was that a year ago? Fragacago a year ago?
Maybe it wasn't Frag Chicago. I remember they won Frag Jersey and got a free spot into it. So I'm trying to remember where it was. We've been to like 4 frags at this point. They kind of all run together.
Could have either been a
Might have been Philly.
frag Jersey or one of the frag taps that's in Philly.
Could have been a Philly. I think we've been to 2 or 3 Phillies across the organization's history. So
I need to go to Philly, one of the Phillies, because man, one, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia is like my favorite show ever, so I'd really like to go combine my two loves of Counter Strike and It's Always Sunny. If we could convince them to go down to Patty's Pub in Philadelphia and have a LAN there, that, these are my dreams, but they don't seem reasonable or helpful to the Counter Strike scene. You never know though; could be massive to like spread awareness to all the It's Always Sunny fans that don't know about it. You never know, and I feel like
exactly.
most of the Counter Strike people know It's Always Sunny is, so they wouldn't really be getting anything out of it. But I digress greatly here, McGallon. What what is the importance of LAN for you? I like to talk a lot about LAN Counter Strike on you. Like, what's the difference between a LAN tournament and an online tournament from an owner's perspective? I would argue probably a lot more money, but
yes. Yeah, it's a big investment. Got to cover at least a portion of team pass, travel, stay, food. And every team wants a different allotment of money, and depending on skill level and all that. But it pays off a lot more than these online tournaments. We can create content, and going back to the engagement conversations earlier, content's key for those engagements. And so when we get to LAN, that's kind of our focus: is how much can we get out of this on a social media aspect of things, currently, like, following the games. And then later on, like when we send teams, we try to do videos when we had Jackro and all of them underneath the organization right after their original stint with Revel. That was one thing that we tried to orchestrate a lot on. It didn't pan out very well because we had some falling off of the roster like right before, so it just didn't make sense to do it with like a third of the team essentially. But LANs are huge. I mean, that's where we get our content from. especially the player pictures, which help with game days and all that. There's a lot that goes into it that's planning for further down the road as well, and it's a lot more fun to watch. Online's fun, but LAN. I mean, I remember our first CS LAN we ever went to was CS Do with the old Little Beer, Soul Goat, Atomic, Rift, and Hamburger roster. And Lauren and I watching in the living room have never been more hype watching one of our teams compete going against. It was the decider match for getting out of groups, and it adds another level of intensity and fun to the whole thing. And I just love watching it. I love watching my guys jump out of their chairs, and hell, if they flip off another team, they flip off another team. Just fun as hell to watch.
Hey, I talk about this all the time. I used to very much be, we talk about how we don't like the online hatred and toxicity, but I used to be very much like, oh no, we got to learn to be nice to each other and blah, blah, blah. And then I went to my first Counter-Strike LAN in December last year, and I heard like the importance of like letting out those war cries and like the banter of like, get fucked from like across the hall, like that is a part of the like mental game that's happening on LAN, and it's important.
Yes.
If you're keeping it related to the game and flipping people off or cursing at each other, that's fine. But it's when you get into those personal attacks and like the
Yeah.
racism or the transphobic, or you're
Yeah.
making comments about people's weight or acne or whatever the hell, that's like, come on, you scumbag. Like, don't actually sound mad. You better sound like you're having fun while you're yelling at the other team, basically.
Exactly.
Um,
Oh yeah, 100%.
have you personally gotten to go to any of the frag events with your team?
I have not actually. I haven't been to a local CS event in probably about 6 or 7 years. So it's on my bucket list of goals for the next year. So is send one of the rosters down there and watch them compete in person. It's not the same watching them from afar because I've gone and watched our COD teams, our Halo teams at LANs, but and they get rowdy, trust me. But nothing like good old home sweet CS.
Yeah, I mean, I know the Halo and console game and COD and console gamers are like loud. I know that,
Yes.
but like the CS guys are like just a lot more creative. Like listening to like some of
Yes,
the
that's
stuff
perfect.
they banter with,
Yeah,
it's like
Yeah, literally COD. They're just yelling like shit on after every kill. CS, like they make you think after they yell something at you.
right,
They
like
yell it, and you're like, oh, good point.
yeah, like like they're screaming about what you should have been doing in that round, or they're screaming about like, oh, like Tisky was at the last in Windsor was like screaming at somebody on the Big L early in the morning on Sunday. He was like, "Oh, should have woken up a little earlier so you could come and practice." And I'm like, I mean, you're not wrong, but like, what a weird thing to just scream at somebody after
Yeah,
dominating them.
yeah. I mean, I've watched kids at COD events get literally spit on kids across the table, like just full on loogie at them. But nothing beats a good old CS. Just hurt your brain insult.
Yeah. Well, let's I only got a few more questions here for you, McGallon. Let's talk a little bit about NACS from your vantage point. There's no right or wrong answer to this. This is just someday maybe I'll collect all of these answers and put it in a big documentary of what everybody thinks, but that also sounds like a lot of work and I'm not into that. So,
Yeah.
uh the what is it that you think is going on in NACS, and like what could we be doing to get back on the world stage of like winning tournaments? Because we got M80 that's and complexity that go to the tournaments, but I haven't considered Liquid an NA team for like
No.
7 or 8 years at this point, and Cloud9 is gone, and yeah, we have M80, we have complexity, and we have wildcard, but nobody's like winning anything. What do you think that NACS needs, not just at the tier one level, but overall? What do you think we need to get back up on the level with the rest of the world?
I think it starts, kind of tier 1 trickling into tier 2. Tier 1, we've got to stop recycling talent. We've had the same players, bouncing between organizations and teams for the last 7 and 8 years, and I love them all to death, but a lot of them are past their prime. They haven't been able to adapt to the new metas and everything like that. And Complexity started doing it well, and Madi's done it well now, with starting to pick up those top tier 2 guys that can revitalize and bring new energy into the rosters. But yeah, that starts at a tier 2, tier 3 level, and the problem with tier 2, tier 3 is we don't have enough good practice going on right now, and we don't have a whole lot of structural integrity across rosters. We've got teams blowing up every 5 seconds, and I'm thankful our roster's been able to stick together for the last 4 years, but I've gone with rosters that have blown up in 2 or 3 roster changes a season, and then once you got to stick together for a little bit, grind your way up into ECL, and then you start getting the guys like Nyx that's up on Complexity now, who grinded his way all the way through. I mean, I remember watching him in advanced finals 3 years ago. It's you just got to keep grinding from the ground up, and organizations at the tier 1 level have got to start taking a step back. Like NRG needs to take a step back and start signing those guys that have the promising talent. It's going to be a rebuild phase, to say the least. But if I'm at a tier 1 organization right now, I'm calling it quits on the 35-year-old or the 30-year-old that's barely hanging in there, and bringing in some new talent. Maybe keep a veteran or two around for a bit, but start revitalizing those rosters.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point. Like, it's almost like NA has been in a rebuilding phase for like 5 years or so now, post COVID, right? Especially with Valorant sucking up so much of the like tier 2 talent that was promising. I think that like Momo, psst, I think that it feels like the tier 1 orgs have never really committed to the fact that it's a rebuilding era, and they've just been like,
Correct.
well, if we just keep practicing here and keep pushing and maybe adjust a player here or there, oh, we'll bring in an EU import. It's like, well, now suddenly we like don't have NA teams. It's hard to say we're rooting for NA when you keep bringing over players from another region to do better, instead of like committing to the fact we're in a rebuilding phase, and that includes you guys as tier 1 orgs in this. Like,
Yes.
you can't escape that fate of our region right now. And so yeah, I think it's important that teams like yours and Take Flight and Team Ether, and I'm gonna start missing teams that are my friends. I know Amped isn't around anymore, but
Sad face.
or Tsunami's
Rest in
pivot.
peace.
Yeah, Tsunami's pivoting.
Pivoting. Yes.
King, and I'm actually excited about that pivot because I get to work with King a lot more often because of it.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think it's really important for these orgs that have been around for like 3-4 years now, as a part of that rebuilding phase, like maintain their not even maintain their momentum, just stay in it. Like, stay in it, continue to be a brand that, like, because there are younger generations of players growing up with this game right now that are idolizing themselves on getting to some of these rosters, and in another 5 years we don't know what that's going to look like, but you can already see after 5 years of just smaller orgs trying to rebuild the scene, it is starting to get there. Like, we're getting there. It's a slow process, but also I'm gonna do this. Get yourself to LAN. You got to get to LAN.
Correct.
You're
Absolutely.
not gonna make a name for yourself on the internet only. Like, none of these tier 1 orgs are playing online Counter-Strike when they weren't playing on 50 ping at Cologne. They were on 0 ping for that entire, and so they want to see and frankly, the game is different at that
Correct.
level playing field.
It's a whole different battle. Yeah. Whole different game, whole different battle. It's it's more mental. There's a whole lot to it, and then getting to LAN is massively important. Gosh, I'm trying to think of what was the kid's name that was, I think he was on lag at one point and just qualified for the major. Uh, Trying to think. He was at a lot of Fragadelphias competing here and then, moved back over to the Asian scene. And I think he got his name out there by going to those smaller lands and competing. And then you got, a few of the other guys like Fruit Cup and stuff like that who kind of showed out at the lower level, the tier 2 lands, tier 3 lands, and got their name out there and started getting on those bigger rosters. And yeah, you hit the nail on the coffin. Go to land, like prove your worth. That first land might be a little awkward, but once you make a name for yourself, just keep grinding.
You never
And
know what could happen. You could play.
exactly, you never know who's in the audience. We've seen Jason Lake show up to different things from Complexity. You never know who's watching online from home. So there's always something that could happen.
There's always something that could happen. That's right. All right. Well, I got like my last two questions here for you, McGallon, and I know the answer to one of them because you shared it with me before uh, the call. But I always ask this: What is your name? What does your name mean? Where does it come from, McGallon?
Gotcha. So my middle name is McGallon, Macallan. Couldn't really pronounce it much as a child, and it always came out sounding like McGallon. And so when I was, trying to come up with my name when I got my first PC, it was my brother and I were sitting in my room, and he said, "Well, let's try this," and he typed it out, and I said, "That's perfect. It's a play on my real middle name, and it fits perfectly." So
And it's a fun name, McGallon.
yes,
It's a name that's always sparked joy every time I've seen it over the last couple of years online. So, well,
love that.
I appreciate you coming down here and doing this with me. My last question for you, and this can be esports or life or whatever the hell you want to talk about related. But if you could talk to a younger version of yourself or just the younger generation out there, what is some advice you would give them?
Stop caring so much what people think about you. This applies to my younger self. This applies to anybody. There's a lot of people with judging eyes that are always going to be watching and judging ears. I think the biggest thing that matters is what you think about yourself, and staying true to like your goals and everything like that. That was a big thing I struggled with early in my life and in my career. Is just thought too much of what was going on outside of my own brain and never really cared about that. And so just, always staying true to that. And, if somebody wants to be a dick essentially to you, just let them slide, move on past it, and don't let it bother you too much. Your biggest hater is, they're not important. And, just keep building yourself, keep building your brand, keep building towards whatever goals, dreams you got. And that's the best thing you can do for yourself.
Stay in your lane and focus on yourself. I like that. That's beautiful. All right. Well, just like Hot Ones, we don't have a million cameras, but this camera, and this camera, look into them and tell the people what you got going on. Where can they find you? What's next for Wanted Goons?
My ats on everything are McGallon. More importantly, go check out Wanted Goons on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, whatever it may be. Streaming CS matches on twitch.tv/Wanted Goons 4 nights a week. We've got a lot of exciting stuff coming up with Valorant, Rainbow Six. iRacing is killing it recently. If you're into watching people drive around in circles, be sure to tune into that. The guys are absolutely killing it, and we've got a lot of surprises coming down the road. Like I hinted to, the Valorant Game Changers roster, trying to get back in some exciting scenes. So we've got a lot coming down the pipeline, and hope y'all will come and check it out.
Hell yeah! All right, dude. Well, thank you for joining us. Thank you all for watching, and that is it. Okay, and we